am Thanuja Navaratne. I am a lawyer by profession, as well as I am a human rights and animal rights activist. I would like to start by, I would only give a brief description of this 2022 bill to explain to you why it should not be passed without amendments. And Senaka Veeraratne will be giving the details on the same thing. So I would like to start by saying, actually this 2022 bill contains so many provisions which are contradictory to each other, so that in a court of law, if we are to seek redress for animals, it will be extremely impossible, because the interpretations will be extremely difficult, because there are so many contradictory clauses in this bill. For example, clause 1 to 17 are about all protections given to animals. But then the same bill, clause 18, takes away all the protection from certain categories of animals. They are farm animals, animals used in cultivation, slaughter of animals for food, which even gives effect to butcher's ordinance through this 2022 bill. Again, they are giving effect to butcher's ordinance. And also live animals used for experiments and training are exempted. Even the restricting of movement of elephants in public places, all these things are exempted from application of this bill, of this act. Okay, so in other words, if this is an animal, pro-animal, actually I don't like to call it a welfare bill, actually it should be animal rights bill or animal protection bill. If it is protecting animals, it should protect all the animals. You cannot exempt different kinds of animals from this act. Then the whole purpose is going to be lost of protection of animals. And then going clause by clause, I'll briefly say, clause 3, the fines, we have analyzed that the fines should be increased. Then clause 10 and 11, there is another issue, because Ayurveda Medical Council practitioners can only treat animals, not perform surgeries. That should be looked at. Then also, no Ayurveda practitioners are included in the Animal Welfare Advisory Committee. So that is also an issue. Then in clause 10, they say only a qualified veterinary surgeon or a Ayurveda Medical Council practitioner can treat animals. Then what about emergency first aid or medical treatments provision by owners sometimes to the animals? Then animal lovers sometimes have to treat some stray animals. Then what about the wildlife officials who have to give first aid to wild animals? So all this has to be considered. Then the clause 12, it speaks about testing animals on cosmetics, and it says unless for prescribed purposes it is banned. But though it says in clause 12, by clause 18, animals testing who are used in testing has been completely exempted from the protection of this bill. So it's another contradiction. Then when it comes to chapter 2 of transportation of animals, there are so many clauses here. Clause 19, 20, 21, which explains very nicely how the animals should be transported. But it's very cosmetic exercise just to cover up clause 18, which actually exempts so many categories of animals from the protection of this act. So actually, unless the clause 18 is removed, these clause 19, 20 and 21 would be useless. Then chapter 3, we come to clause 22 and 23. It says about use of live animals for experiments, teaching purposes. Unless we remove clause 18 from this bill, this clause 22 and 23 will actually not be applicable. And then also we should, when we are applying clause 22 and 23, it should be amended to honor the local and international standard guidelines used in research using live animals. Then I come to chapter 4, regulating the sale of animals as pets. Okay, in that there are so many clauses included in this bill. Clause 24, 25, 26, which talks about pet shops, regulations for selling in public, inspecting pet shops, all that. But this definition of pet shops includes only places which sell animals, sell pets. But what about the places which breed pets but which do not actually sell? So they are only breeding. If they are only breeding, then they don't come under this. Then breeding pets, where people are breeding pets, these regulations, those animals will not have protection through this act. Then part 2, clause 27. They have taken out the Animal Welfare Authority, which was proposed in 2006 and 2010 bills, and they have introduced the Animal Welfare Advisory Committee, which is, the composition is so that it's weighted heavily in favor of people who use animals for economic purposes and other purposes. Because if you take the composition, it's like two academics who are conducting animal experiments, one laboratory animal scientist, then two representing poultry and livestock, only 2 animal welfare people from registered organizations included in this. And the other thing is 27B1 says a veterinary surgeon actively engaged in animal welfare. But the same bill says all government veterinary surgeons are considered animal welfare officers. So if all are considered animal welfare officers, they are all engaging in active animal welfare. So then why is this particular phrase included in 27B1? Also, apart from ex officio members who are not always thinking from side of protection of animals, in this advisory committee there is no representation by animal rights advocates, there is no representation by legal experts on animal rights, or no representation by wildlife experts. Wildlife has been completely ignored, wild animals. Part 3, that comes under general provisions. Under general provisions, the clause 28, it talks about humane manner of treating animals, which is a very cosmetic provision. When you actually, by clause 18, when you have exempted so many categories of animals from getting any protection from this act. Then also I want to specifically draw attention to clause 30, which says any investigation into an animal cruelty incident should be done by animal welfare officer, which is a government vet, accompanied by police officer above the not below the rank of SI, not below the rank of SI. So, and also it says before doing this inspection, they have to get a warrant from the magistrate. So anybody who knows about the execution of legal systems in this country would know, first one thing, in most of the police stations there are only so many officers who are not below SI rank. Okay? And then also the animal welfare officers are the government veterinary. Government veterinaries are already finding it difficult to manage with their veterinary services, providing veterinary services. So how are they going to do this? And then also taking a warrant from a magistrate takes time. So all these provisions actually will delay getting redress for animal cruelty cases. And then also it says the decision to take steps, enter and inspect premises, examine books, question any person, take any photo, video. This decision to take these steps without a warrant can be taken only by the animal welfare officer. So animal welfare officer is a veterinary surgeon. So what is the, I mean, with all due respect to their profession, I am saying what is their knowledge and expertise on judicial systems and law establishment. So then how can they decide whether there should be a warrant or not? So there are lots of questions in this clause 30, lot of legal issues. Then 31, clause 31 again, that says the animal welfare direction can be issued by the animal welfare officer, again the government veterinary surgeon, who is already overburdened, and he is being burdened with this as well. Then how effective will that be for animal protection? Then comes this clause 41, again another very important clause, because it exempts all forms of pests and animals involved in measures taken to safeguard human life, animal life or property. They are all exempted from the protection of this act. So if anybody decides, I mean, and in the interpretation the pests are not defined. So anybody decides if a certain animal is a pest and also a threat to safeguard human life, animal life or property, they don't get any protection from this act. It's a very dangerous clause 41. And also in clause 41, newly they have included another subsection to say that farming activities and cultural events are protected as long as the animals are used for these purposes without harming the animals. Okay, so that is also coming under this same 41 clause, which talks about pests. Then when it comes to 44, I am talking about the interpretations. There are no definitions in the interpretation. They just say, okay, animals are such, but there is no definition to say who is a stray animal, who is a wild animal, who is an animal in captivity, who are pests. So unless there are proper definitions in an act, then when it goes to courthouse, how would a courthouse define a stray animal, wild animal, animals in captivity or pests? Apart from this, I also want to touch upon, now this bill, initial bill was, they started making it in 2000 and it was produced in 2006. So therefore, during that period, the animal rights situation in the country was quite different to what it is today. So there are certain things that this new bill should include, which were not even included in the 2006 bill, because it was made to suit the particular situation at that time. Now there are so many animal welfare organizations and animal welfare people who collect funds from public, who should be made accountable, transparent and monitored to see that they are not committing animal cruelty instead of animal welfare. It's a very important thing. So regulations for monitoring these animal welfare organizations and animal welfare people who collect money from locally and internationally showing animals should be definitely included in this animal welfare bill. And then also in 2006 bill, there was a very, very important portion which has been removed from 2022 bill, which is, you all know there can be so many laws in a country, but no law will be effective unless the society changes their attitudes. So to change attitudes in society, to make people more compassionate, kind, and have empathy towards animals, in the 2006 bill there were suggestions to include compassion about animal, compassion or kindness about animals in school curriculums, as well as raising awareness. But all that has been removed from this 2022 bill. In short, as a summary, what we are saying is, this 2022 bill should not be passed without amendments. And the amendments, in summary, should be that this bill should ensure protection of all animals. Otherwise, it's not an animal rights bill, animal protection bill. Ensure that there is no room for abuse by misinterpretation or misconstruction of certain terms in the bill. Also, ensure that there is no room to prevent or block any immediate preliminary action taken on cruelty cases against animals. Also, what we are saying is, ensure that there is a vibrant and efficient system in place to handle cruelty to animals. Actually, this existing system should be strengthened, but 2022 bill actually is weakening the existing system as well. Ensure that other thing we are asking is, ensure that all terms used in the Act are defined so that interpretations of the Act will not leave room for any misinterpretation of certain terms. And also we are saying that there should be provisions included about conditions relating to methods of slaughter in step with modern standards towards minimizing the suffering of animals concerned. At last, I would like to say, why we are stepping in and speaking up is because, unlike humans, animals don't have a voice. So unless we talk on behalf of animals, animals can't fight for their rights. So that's why we are here. Thank you very much.